Hello everybody and welcome back to Gaming on Caffeine. My name is Isaac and we are back playing some FTB Infinity for episode 17. Now, you may remember a couple of episodes back, we set up our Tinker Smeltery, and within that Tinker Smeltery, we set up an auto spawner, and inside of that auto spawner, we put, if we can just, come on, let me, yep. There we go. We put a safari net, a reusable safari net, with a villager inside of it within that auto spawner. And the idea was that the villagers would spawn, drop into the smeltery, and if there is a molten liquid in that smeltery, they will then die and give us emeralds, which would be used for our unlimited emerald production. Now, the problem was that the smeltery was kind of too small, and the auto spawner was kind of too close to this wall here. So all of the, well, about half of the villagers were just spawning outside in this room, which is not very good, because it meant we had villagers all over the place. There were villagers outside, which were getting attacked by zombies, turning into zombies. It was all a big mess. So what I've gone ahead and done between this episode and the end of last episode is I've gone ahead and made this smeltery bigger. This is now the maximum size for a smeltery, which is 7x7 on the inside there, and then a whopping 9x9 on the outside, which is actually the whole width of this room. If you go there, if we look at just over there, that's where the corner is. There is some cobblestone there, but that is the corner. And this thing is 9x9. And now if we go ahead and turn this thing on, we should see some villagers drop down, and we should see them drop very frequently because we have a ton of power thanks to this big reactor, which I'm actually going to go ahead and turn back on right now. I only turned it off because we weren't really using all that much power while this was off, and you'll see them all dropping in. Eventually they'll fall over. Watching you there, watching this yellow one. Unless they jump up on the walls, which I should probably fix. But they will drop down eventually. We get a lot of villagers. And if we go ahead and have a look in the smeltery, we now have 20.6 emeralds. 20 emeralds! That's kind of insane. So if we were to go ahead and grab some of this pre-made seared brick that I just so happen to have lying around, we can go ahead and do something like this, make ourselves a casting basin. And then if we get rid of this guy here, and do something like this and start to pull those emeralds out. By the way that you move a liquid from the top of the smeltery here to the bottom so you can pull it out is you just click on it, boom, move to the bottom, we can then release it, and this thing might take a while, but once it fills up, we will have a block of emeralds, which is pretty freaking cool. And I'm going to go ahead and turn this off, because to be fair, we probably don't need that many emeralds, and this is using up power and all that stuff, so I'm just going to leave that there for now, let that work its magic, and the main thing that I want to work on today is getting ourselves some more resources, because last episode, we set up that big reactor over there, and that used a ton of iron, like loads and loads and loads of iron, to the point where now, if we go ahead and have a look in our system, we have 22 iron. That's it. That's all the iron we have, and that's really not enough iron. So today, we are going to get something that's a bit better than our miner from BiblioCraft 2 at getting us resources, and we'll get onto that in just a second. I seem to be getting quite a lot of frame rate. Like, I'm not quite sure if that's the villagers or the smeltery. I guess we'll find out in just a second. It seems like it was the smeltery for whatever reason there, but look, if we right-click, we get ourselves a block of emeralds. Nice! So we'll go ahead and throw those in the interface. We will be using those later on in the episode, and you'll see why. But what we're going to set up today is an ender quarry. This is basically, for those who are familiar with the Buildcraft quarry, it does a very similar thing, apart from it doesn't leave a massive hole in the ground. You set up a perimeter of the area you want it to mine through, and it will go ahead and scan every block within that area from the ground level you put it on to bedrock. And if it finds an ore, it will take that ore, and if it finds anything really, it will take it and replace it with dirt. So much like the endothermic pump we have in the nether, where it takes out the lava and puts it back with cobblestone, this takes out all the ores, all the cobblestone, all the cool stuff that's underground, and replaces it with dirt. So you don't end up with massive gaping holes in the floor, but you still get all the cool stuff from running a quarry, which is kind of nice. If you notice, it uses a lot of obsidian and ender pearls, and as luck would have it, over the last couple of episodes, we've been making a ton of obsidian, and if we were to head over here, look at that! Ender pearls. Who'd have guessed? So now if we go ahead and throw all those into our AE system like so, we should, I think, actually have pretty much everything we need to make this guy. So we need 2 ender infused obsidian. I actually think we need a little bit more than that, but we'll make it when it comes around to it. We need some diamond etched computational matrix, which is 4 diamond, 4 burnt quartz, and an ender infused obsidian again. So we do need a little bit more of that there. The diamonds are easy enough, and then the burnt quartz is made by smelting a quartz block of some kind in a furnace of some kind. Now, do we have enough to make quartz? We have 10, but I don't think that's enough. I have a slight suspicion. Yeah, we need 4. No, we need 16 flipping nether quartz. Okay, so we'll take that. I'll start smelting this up for the time being. We are going to have to go. Actually, is that right? I don't know if that's right. I'm going to put it on furnace mode and just hope it works. Please, please work. Ender Quarry. Like so, let's have a look here. Let's see. Do we have what it takes to make everything else? The endothermic pump is some more of this ender-infused obsidian. See, we needed a lot of obsidian and a lot of emeralds here. This we should be almost pretty much good to do. We just need some more buckets, and we also need lava and water. And as luck would have it, we have ourselves both an unlimited supply of lava and water. You know, it's as if I knew what I was going to do in the future episodes. We are so prepared for this stuff here. Let's go ahead and grab some of you and some of you. Throw those in there. That should get us one endothermic pump. I'm just going to go ahead and turn off. I'm going to put that to auto search, and that way I don't think it's going to get rid of the search in here, because if you have it to NEI synchronized, basically what that's going to do is every time you open up the ME interface, it's going to clear what's ever in here, and I'm kind of fed up of writing Ender Quarry over and over and over again, so I'm going to do that instead. Alright, let's see. Do we have enough stuff to make the iron pickaxes? I'm pretty sure we do. We just need some wood here real quick. So let's do something like that, take a bunch of those, and then get ourselves 2 iron pickaxes, 1, 2, and with that we should be able to make a few of those. We do need some more Eyes of Ender, but we do have some Ender Pearls, and look at this, some Blaze Powder. We'll take you, thank you very much, and we'll just turn some of these into some Blaze Powder like so. Gonna make a stack of the stuff, why not? And then, finally, we should be able to do something like this. I'll take you, grab the buckets, go boom and boom, make ourselves another one. Is that the right way around? It is. Beautiful. We'll throw you in there. And then all that we're missing is this guy in the middle, the diamond edge, which requires some more nether quartz, which we'll go get in a second. Another diamond pickaxe, which again we should be able to make if we get ourselves some sticks. So we'll go ahead and make another set of those. And then finally, the last thing we're going to need are these 2 things here, these ender cores, which are made using more ender-infused obsidian, which again, we can go ahead and make like so. It's really not too big of a deal. Another 2 Eyes of Ender, we can go ahead and make those. They're fairly easy. And finally, we need 4 magical wood per one of these ender cores. So we need at least 8 magical wood. And if you look at the recipe for this, it is 4 enchanted books, a bookshelf, and 4 gold. And the easiest way to make enchanted books, look at that. It's books and emeralds. We are so prepared for this episode. It is kind of insane. So let's go ahead and grab a book. Actually, I think we should be able to make a book. So I did go ahead and get quite a bit of paper between episodes, although we are going to have to go ahead and get ourselves a little bit of the blank patterns. There we go. Those things are fairly easy to make, although we could probably do with a few more than 4. 48 seems like a much nicer number. And then let's go ahead and do something like this. Make a bunch of those. 12 books, I think should be enough. We are going to need 2 bookshelves. Actually, I think we only need 1 of these. Although it does say here that this only makes 1 block of magical wood, I'm fairly certain it makes more than that. So let's go ahead and I'm going to use this recipe here because it uses the least emeralds. And we're going to go 1, 2, 3, and 4. Throw all of those into the AE system. And then do something like this. And then do something like this? Nope, you're not going to work for me? Okay, that's fine. That's fine. We can do it by hand. Here we go. Boom, 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 and boom. Grab ourselves a little bit of gold. And that gets us 21 magical wood. So I think it kind of depends on the enchantment that you use. Depends on how much magical wood you get. I'm not 100% certain on that, so don't quote me on that or anything. But that gets us enough of those cores. And now all that we're missing is that thing in the middle. All we're missing is the diamond edge computational matrix, which just requires a little bit more nether quartz. So I'm gonna go ahead and sleep real quick, and then we're gonna go to the nether. We're gonna get some nether quartz, and I'll be back in a second. Okay, so a little while later, we have ourselves some more nether quartz. I'm going to go ahead and make 3 more of those. The first one that we put into the alloy smelter did turn into fused glass as opposed to the burnt quartz, which is a bit of a pain. I think that's because we had it set to all smelting and it made it an alloy instead of making it a normal smelting mode. I'm not quite sure, but just to be safe, I'm going to do the rest in this guy over here. Whilst that's doing that, I'm going to quickly go and grab some of our wood from our barrels upstairs, because in order to set up a parameter for the ender quarry, we need to get ourselves a bunch of fences. There are actually 2 ways you can do it. You can do it either with fences or with ender markers. However, the ender markers do require that you have a QED, which is a machine that we don't have right now, and instead of going through the hassle of making that, considering we have a ton of oak wood from our tree farm, we're going to use some fences instead, because these are fairly easy to make, and I'm thinking for the time being, we're going to set the quarry up around about here. And like I said before, there's not going to be any damage to the terrain because it's an ender quarry, and all the blocks that it removes, it will instantly replace with dirt as well, which is kind of cool. So we should be able to just go in here and throw all of this wood in and then make a butt ton of fences. And we should also have enough burnt quartz now to actually finish this ender quarry, which will be very nice indeed. Hopefully we have enough diamonds. We do. How many diamonds do we have now? Oh, we have 2 left. Wow, okay, we definitely need this quarry, but we can go ahead and make ourselves an ender quarry. Nice! And then finally, we can go ahead and get ourselves a bunch of fence once we go ahead and make ourselves a bunch of sticks. So let's do something like this. We'll just make a couple of stacks, and then look at that. We've still got like 1,000 wood left, which is kind of cool. We'll do that. We'll throw all of you back in, and then we'll just get stacks and stacks and stacks and stacks and stacks of sticks, and then we can make stacks and stacks and stacks and stacks of fences. Nice. We'll go throw all those in. There we go. 2 stacks, I think, should be enough for now. Bearing in mind, we do need enough fence to cover the whole parameter of the ender quarry. So, for example, if we were to head on outside, pick an area you want to set this thing down, and start putting fences. So I'm thinking, like I said, about over here. Now, you got to bear in mind that this thing, it needs to be high enough up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it actually about there. And we could really do with an axe right now, because I'm probably going to misplace a lot of fence. And I think, to start with, I'm going to make an ender quarry that's about 25 by 25. Not a massive ender quarry. I believe the maximum size is 1,000 by 1,000, which is a flipping massive quarry. But for now, I'm going to go ahead and set up a little parameter like this that is 25 by 25, and I'll be back in a second. And then once you got that set up, you can put the ender quarry anywhere within this little fence radius. I'm going to stick it right here on the edge there, which is probably not the best idea because we do need to access it, but this is fine. If you go ahead and right-click on it, it should say Analyzing Fence Boundary, and if you've done it right, and if this is all connected up, it will say Successfully Established Fence Boundary. For those who are familiar with the Buildcraft quarry, you can also make these things called ender markers, which are these guys, I think it's ender dash markers. Yeah, these guys over here, and they do require the QED, some ender pearls, and some ender infused obsidian. We can make these, although they do require a little bit more effort, and we will be making them when we start making bigger quarries in other dimensions, but for now, this should work just fine. Like I said, we got a ton of wood, so we should be good to go. And now all we need to do is stick a chest on top of that to collect all of the stuff that the quarry picks up, and also provide it with power. Now, for power, we have 2 options. We can either, option A, is to make a ton of energy conduits and transfer them from here all the way over to the ender quarry, which would work for the time being, but then if we decided to move it further away or decided to move it into like another dimension, that would not work at all. If we like broken, it's like a hole in the wall over there or something. Oh my gosh, oh my gosh, okay. What the heck? What the heck? What? Okay, project, turn the lever off. Turn the lever off. There we go. Okay. No. Whoa. My gosh. That was close. The only reason I was so adamant about not dying there is because if we die, I can see a creeper over there. Do we have any more apples? Just happen to be in this, no, steak? No? Food at all? We have some bread. Okay. Whew. If we die, we come back and the mobs are invisible and we got to relog and it's a whole faffle and a half. What the heck happened there? Okay, I'm not getting close to him. We're going to leave that for now. We'll come back to that at some other point. But the better option, for those who didn't already know, is a Tesseract. The Tesseract allows us to transfer things like power, items, and fluids wirelessly, which is kind of awesome because it means we can transfer the power to the ender quarry wirelessly, and we can bring the items back to our base wirelessly once we get the quarry going further afield. So for now, let's go ahead and see if we can make 2 of these. We need 1 at both ends, 1 to get the power and 1 to give the power to the quarry. And to make this thing, it's fairly difficult. We are going to have to go ahead and grab some ender pearls and again throw them into the magma crucible. And hopefully those blazers don't decide to come around and play with us, because I really don't feel like playing with any blazers today. But instead, what I feel like doing is making us a Tesseract. So, we need, again, 4 more of this hardened glass, which is some pulverized obsidian and some lead. So, let's have a look. Do we have any spare? I think we made a ton. So, we'll take that. We'll take ourselves some lead. We are going to need quite a bit of that hardened glass, 8 to be precise. So we'll throw all that in there. We need to change that to alloy mode. We'll throw that in there and see how much that makes. That's not going to make 8, but it's going to come close. I think it's going to make about 3, which is actually nowhere near close. So while that's doing that, let's grab ourselves some obsidian and start. I'm going to pulverize a whole stack, actually. We're going to go ahead and pulverize all of that up. You can see this thing is working much faster now that it's on full power. And it's actually, is that done? It's done. Okay. We're going to need, actually, I don't think we need much more than that. I think we need 1,000 millibuckets per Tesseract. Now, the problem that we just made for ourselves is actually, it's fine. It's fine. We're fine. We're fine. Anyway, let's get back to this thing. I'll tell you what my problem was in a second when we get to it. But anyway, all we need to do now is make the Tesseract frame itself. And this is made up of enderium ingots, the hardened glass, which we're working on, and a diamond. We have the diamond. The enderium ingots can be made either in an induction smelter with enderium blend and pyrotheum dust. However, we don't have an induction smelter, and we do have an alloy smelter, so I'm going to use the alloy smelter, and this one is made using pyrotheum dust, ender pearls, and enderium base. That gets us 2. We need 8, so we're going to have to multiply this by 4. So we're going to need 8 ender pearls, 4 pyrotheum dust, and 4 enderium base. Enderium base is made using tin ingots, silver, and shiny ingots, and look at that, it makes 4 enderium base, which I think is actually the perfect amount. No, it's not. We need 2 sets of this. So we're going to need 4 tin, 2 silver, and 2 shiny ingots. I think we should be good for shiny ingots. We'll take those. They are kind of rare, but not all that rare. We'll take 4 of you, and we'll take a bunch of silver. I think we only need 2 of this stuff, and then we'll go ahead and make it in here. That goes 6. It goes more than I thought it was going to get. That should go ahead and make us some of that enderium base, which would be kind of nice. While that's doing that, let's get ourselves some pyrotheum dust. Let's see. Pyrotheum is made of pulverized coal, sulfur, blaze powder, and redstone. I don't think we have any pulverized coal, so I'm going to grab some of that and pulverize that up. That will be fine. We don't need any more than that. We'll take you, and we'll take all 8 of those. While we're waiting for that, let's go ahead and just put a bunch of those in there. 1, 2. Should get us up to the 8 that we need. We need, I think, did we say 4 pyrotheum dust? Not quite sure. That should be more than enough. That did get us some more sulfur as well, which is kind of nice because we do need quite a bit of sulfur to make this work. So, let's do something like this. Make ourselves 4 pyrotheum, like so. And then if we combine that up with the enderium base that we just made, and the pyrotheum dust, and some ender pearls. See how helpful having a mob farm that produces ender pearls is? We would have had to kill a ton of endermen to get that. That's going to go ahead and make us the enderium base here. This thing is pretty intensive. It requires 50,000 redstone flux to make, as opposed to this one, which required 4,000. So it is going to take quite a bit longer for that to do its thing. So in the meantime, what we can do is we can work on this process here. We need a fluid transposer that allows us to put the Tesseract frame in it, infuse it with some resident ender, in other words, liquid ender, and get ourselves a Tesseract frame full out of it. So we are going to need a fluid transposer. Let's have a look. Fluid transposer. And we're going to use this quite a bit anyway for some other stuff later on down the series, so we are definitely going to need one. It is not going to go to waste at all. We'll make 2 of those, and we'll make ourselves a reception coil, and then I think we should be good to go. Nice. We'll take that. I'm not quite sure where I want to put this. I want to move my machines because there's not enough space right here to put all of the machines, so I think for now I'm going to put it here where the SeNtiMeL is, because we don't really use the SeNtiMeL all that often. I'm going to put that right about there for now, and then we're going to grab ourselves a bucket and do something like this. We should just be able to shift right click. Oh no, we can put this in here, and then if we click toggle to fill, it's going to take the stuff out of the bucket and put it into the tank there internally. And if we do that again, that should give us enough resident ender to fill 2 Tesseract frames. Let's have a look. Each one requires, 1,000 millibuckets, so having 2,000 in there is fine. We can switch that back. How are we doing for enderium base? That first one has not even finished, which is kind of crazy. That's going to take forever and ever and ever and ever. What we can do to speed that up, if we want to, is actually make a capacitor. Now, a capacitor is this guy over here. You've got basic, double layer, and octadic. Now, the double layer and octadic, you can see, I'll say a machine upgrade. And basically, if you throw those in, it says increases energy storage, speed, and range of machines. So, if we were to go ahead and make one of those, which is a bit pricey, it requires 2 of the basic ones, which I think we should be able to make if we have a little bit more copper. We do. I'm going to go ahead and take all that copper, actually, and throw that in like so. As well as 2 energetic alloys, which I believe are redstone, gold, and glowstone. They are. So let's take some redstone, let's take some gold, and then let's take some glowstone. And I'm going to stop the enderium base for a second here, because I think it's going to help us in the long run to have this set up faster. Let's see, redstone, glowstone, and we'll make 4, I guess. Yeah, I think 4 should be fine. I don't think we quite have what it takes, although, actually, we might do. we might have what it takes to make an octadic capacitor. And basically what this does is it increases the max redstone flux per tick that the alloy smelter can run at. So instead of only running at 20 redstone flux per tick, it might run at 40. And I think 40 is the double layer, and then I think 100 is the octadic. So it runs faster, therefore it can go through that 50,000 RF to make the enderium ingots faster, which is pretty kind of cool. Whilst we wait for that, let's go ahead and go to sleep, because I'm not a fan of the darkness outside. We will fix that cow farm at some point in the future, don't worry. We have the emeralds now. We have the power to do it. We will fix that up in a little while, but that's not the project of today. Today, we are all about apparently upgrading our alloy smelters. We'll wait for that to do that. Whilst that's doing that, let's get ourselves a chest. We should have that gold chest lying around somewhere that we used for... Oh, no, it's there still, isn't it? Oh, gosh, I completely forgot. I think what we could actually do, instead of having a gold chest now, I don't think we really need that buffer anymore. What we could do instead is just stick an item duct directly onto that, and then use that chest for something else. So let's take you. I would recommend using an axe for this. Seriously? What? Oh, sure. That works. Why not? Okay, fast. No, we don't have any space. Don't kill me, don't kill me, don't kill me! I don't want to die! What do you get about this? Okay, quick, I want to grab that. No, stop giving me junk that I don't want. There we go. There we go. Okay, okay. And then we should just be able to do... No, we're gonna die! Ah! No! I was burned to a crisp while fighting a blaze. We should be able to stick that there, and I think that should work just fine. That blaze rod doesn't seem to like bouncing around over there, though. And that's because we have that there. Okay, okay, okay. Fill that in. There we go, jeez. Put our armor back on. There we go. And then let's work with this. So basically, the reason this isn't working is because we still have this attached to it. And let me just get rid of some of this junk that we don't really need. There we go. So what we need to do is we need to get this off. Like so. Now that's attached, what we need to do is, I don't think we have to pull out of here. Like the grinder, I think it will pull out automatically. But if we go ahead and just do that anyway, that should be fine. And that should go ahead and put everything into its right slot anyway. So that's just a nice little upgrade. And we can go ahead and take this chest and use it on top of the quarry to collect all of the stuff that is going to output. That is the enderium base, which is why that took so long. I was going to say, I didn't think that was going to take all that long. Anyway, what we can do actually now is we can go ahead and make our first Tesseract frame, which is just made like so. Nice. And then we can go ahead and start filling this up in the fluid transposer whilst we wait for the stuff to upgrade the Ender alloy smelter is working. Let's go stick this on the chest outside. On the chest. Let's stick this chest on the Ender quarry outside. There we go. Rearrange my words a little bit. And sort of jump shift click. There we go. Beautiful. And it always has outputs at the top. Again, you could probably just put item ducts on there and pipe them back around to wherever you wanted to. But for now, we're just going to go ahead and stick a chest down there. How is everything down here doing? That's doing fine. That is done. Come on. You can do this. You can finish. There we go. I'm going to take all those back. It is going to go ahead and make a third one, which is a bit of a pain, but that's fine. We'll throw you, and... Ender pearls? No, we've got ender pearls. What was the last thing? Blazing pyrotheum. We'll throw that in there. And now we should be able to make ourselves an a double layer capacitor, which is this guy over here. And that will go ahead and increase the speed of the machine. As you'll see, 20 RF per tick. Stick that in. It can now run at 60 RF per tick, so this thing should run a heck of a lot faster and should go complete about 3 times as fast, which is kind of awesome. So we'll throw that in there. Do we have any bronze? We have 7. We need 8. Oh, that's just mean. That is just mean. Let's see. Let's grab some copper and some tin. I don't think that we can do this. Oh, we can. Nice. We'll throw that in there. That is perfect. That's a quick way of making bronze. For those who didn't know, we could take this first Tesseract and then go ahead and throw that in there. Type in Tesseract for hopefully the last time and get ourselves one of these. Nice. And then for this one, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and stick it down right about here for the time being. I'll probably move it to somewhere over there in the future when we want to have our ores automatically processed. But for now, I'm going to put it here. We're going to open it up. We're going to pick frequency 1. And for those who don't know, you have to pick a frequency. And you can have multiple Tesseract systems set up. And they all work on frequencies. So this Tesseract will interact with any other Tesseract with the same frequency. In this case, 1. I'm going to call this Isaac's power. And we're going to click a tick and give it a save frequency. So now frequency 1 is Isaac power. We want to set this to ignore redstone. And then under configuration, we want to send it to disabled items. We don't want to do anything with items. Nothing with fluids for the time being. And we want it to send energy only. We want it to send energy from here out into other Tesseracts with a frequency of 1. So if we were to grab you, and then make ourselves that final Tesseract frame, like so, fill this thing up with some Resonant Ender, like so. That's going to take a little bit of time, and then once that's done, we can make our final Tesseract, set that up outside, and that should start wirelessly transferring all the power that our big reactor is producing, all 640 redstone flux per tick of this thing. Not quite the 1,500 RF per tick that this thing is producing, but it still should transfer as much as it can over to the system, which would be kind of nice. What I think I actually might do real quick here is get a flux duct. One of the higher tier flux duct. This thing here, these are new, by the way, from Thermodynamics. And this thing, if we have what it takes, is a redstone flux duct. And all we have to do is fill that up with redstone. And this thing can transfer up to 8,000 redstone flux per tick once it's fully done. In order to make this, we are going to have to go ahead and put some redstone in there. I think we need 10 or something along that line. And let's take you out. Let's do something like this, throw you in there. I was completely wrong about the whole writing Tesseract for the last time thing, but I tend to find I frequently am. And if we go ahead and head on outside, we should just be able to put this thing down right next to the end of Quarry, set it to frequency 1, and it should start. It should start scanning all the blocks, which is kind of cool. So we'll click Isaac's power, tick. We want to set it to receive energy. We'll disable both of these, and it should be running. Look at that. It's running. It's collecting cobblestone. It's got some appetite. It's collecting some stuff, and it's running. That's kind of awesome. You can right-click this thing at any time to see how many blocks it's gone ahead and scanned, how far down it is. And we're on, like, level 64. So if you do 64 times 25 by 25, you'll see how many blocks we need to scan in total. I'm not going to do that math because I really don't want to right now. What I'm going to do instead is try and pull this out like so. And that's not going to work, is it? No! And I think if we break this, it actually breaks. Oh, it does. Oh, the pain. Okay, I think instead of using a Buildcraft tank, we're going to go ahead and use a thermal expansion tank. Do we have any glass? We do. If we do glass, and some copper, we get one of these tanks. So the good thing about these is they don't lose the fluid when you break them, which is kind of nice. That's a redstone. If we take you and throw you in there, like so, and then go ahead and throw this like that, and now we're going to infuse these empty energy conduits with some redstone. And the reason why I'm doing this is because right now the Quarry can only run at 640 redstone flux per tick because it's capped by this energy conduit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to break this and this. I'm going to put that there, so now the Quarry can run at the maximum 1,400 redstone flux per tick. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to stick an energy cell right below that, something like this, energy cell. Let's grab, for instance, let's see, how much could this one transfer? This one could transfer 800 redstone flux per tick, so this should be fine if we have enough invar, which I don't think we do. Ah, the pain. Every time. Let's see, do we have what it takes to make this? We do, but it requires a diamond. That's a bit of a pain. Do we have what it takes to make a capacitor bank? Let's see. Let's get some iron. Let's make some more invar real quick. If we take you and we take some ferrous. This is a long episode, by the way, guys. I do apologize if you wanted a shorter one for whatever reason. But if we pulverize that up, and then pulverize up to iron, that should get us 3 invar, which should be enough to make ourselves the hardened energy cell, which is just a leadstone energy cell with some invar. So we'll do that. Throw you under there, get ourselves some more invar dust, smelt you up in the alloy smelter. Whilst that's doing that, let's go ahead and make ourselves a block of redstone, make ourselves a leadstone energy cell. This is the basic tier of energy cell from thermal expansion. The reason we're not using this one is it can only transfer 200 redstone flux per tick, which is nowhere near the amount that we're producing and that the other conduits can carry, so we're kind of bottlenecking ourselves by doing that. And let's quickly make some electrum. Look how fast it makes electrum now. That is beautiful. And then we can throw you in there. Get ourselves another one of those coils and not carrot seeds. And then make a energy cell. I think that's right? Yeah, we can make ourselves the leadstone energy cell. Like so. And then if we surround that with invar, we should be able to make the hardened energy cell like so. And the hardened energy cell is going to go right about here. And this thing is going to accept 800 redstone flux a tick from this redstone and fluid conduit into the top there. You can see it's doing it right now. And then we're going to configure the bottom to output. It already is. So if we were to go ahead and look under here real quick, these conduits are going to pull out of the bottom because this side is set to orange. Blue is input, orange is output, as with all thermal expansion machines. So the power is now going to get stored into here, which is nice because it gives us a little bit of a buffer to work with. And then the Quarry is getting the most power it can. All the other machines are getting a nice little buffer here and they can use all the power they can. And with that, guys, I'm going to end the episode there. It's been a bit of a long one, but I hope you enjoyed it. If you did enjoy the video, be sure to hit like, tell me in the comment section what you thought, and I will see you guys next time.